Like twice.
Now, some people have the impression that payday lenders suck. Why is that? Because they don't. Luckily, now loan centers.
This is what I keep saying.
You have it?
No, I'm close. I'm not even close.
Come and see us at Valley Loan Center. Normally, we can save you up to half of what you're paying, and give you way longer to pay back. That was Chuck, and he's offering up to $5,000 in minutes this holiday season with no fee to apply and a week of free interest to new customers. Stop by one of our many locations, apply online at don'tbebroke.com, or apply over the phone with one of our DLC elves. Happy holidays.
Hey. All right. How he sounding? You got me? Check, 1, 2. All right, let's set up the studio correctly. There we go. Loud and clear. That's a good sign.
Sponsored by the biggest chamber in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm Eli Manning. I'm Peyton Manning. I want to tell you about the
So it's not how could it not be here?
It isn't. I just looked. I just played everything I've got.
It's the biggest play in sports. It was the number one reason why we're talking about this game, and it's not available.
I can't even go back to go through the air check to look for the fucking thing. The air check only goes for 24 hours.
What was everybody watching? Like, was that? Oh man. Okay. Woo.
This is out of my hands. You need to talk to these people. You know? I can't imagine we've had 4 shows go off and nobody was asking about the goddamn play.
Wow. Okay. Oh, radio's fun.
You need a pen for the highlights or anything? Or
Nope, I got it all. I'll get it all.
All right.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio, your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years. And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, as we are back here Monday, coming off Thanksgiving, the aftermath of the Raiders' loss on Black Friday in Kansas City. We are live on YouTube, and if you'd like to see my vessels pop in my head, you might want to just log in for free and watch this. You'll be here watching the monologue, watch the whole show. You can watch it later today. You can watch it anytime. That's why we built this YouTube channel, JT the Brick YT, where everything lives. Everything lives there. You can go back and watch a show. I'm a big believer in listening live, but now you can't do that anymore. There's just too many people busy, too many people on lunch, too many people working. So they want to catch the show, and a lot of people listen to us and follow us after the show, which I'm fine with because the opinions we have normally doesn't change until there's breaking news, and we go from there. So I've had a busy day. We were down at Raiders headquarters, Eric Allen, myself, and Rich Gannon. We talked about the game for Raiders Roundtable. That you'll see that air on any Raider platform that you have a little bit later on today. And we got a big problem. We got a problem now. We got to talk about a game that the Raiders should have won in Kansas City. A game that the Raiders should have won in Kansas City, did everything, and not everything was perfect in the game. First half, really didn't do much to write home about, but the defense stayed in the game. And then the Raiders exploded in the second half of the game and had an opportunity to win. And they lost the game for a variety of reasons. That's why I call this show The Aftermath. I did the post-game show. No one in the world in Raiderland was on the radio quicker than me. Let me repeat that again. Very lucky to have this format. I go on immediately following the game. I don't have time to watch SportsCenter. I don't have time to listen to all the pundits tell you what they thought. Was there a false start? Illegal shift? Why not spike the ball? Why wasn't there a timeout left? I got to go. Okay, I can't wait for the USA Today newspaper back in the day to show up on my driveway and then have a producer write my opinions for me. You know, that's the big dirty secret in radio now, is that when these games happen on Friday or Saturday, the hosts don't watch them. And then they show up and they have a 3-hour meeting with bagels, lox, coffee. And the kid over there, see him? Look, I'm pointing. The kid in the back row, he tells the host what he was supposed to watch, which he didn't watch, and he tells the host what happened, and then they load it in the teleprompter, and they're off to the races. Not me. I got to go live right after Jason Horowitz says, good night from Kansas City, JT the Brick's next. So I'll pick it up from there. The Raiders lost the game because they did not communicate properly. The coaching staff and the players were not on the same page when they could have won a football game, which is a really big deal in this sport. So before I get to what happened in the game and the finality and what happened with down and distance and all of that, I believe, and I believe this to be true because I'm embedded in the Raider Nation. I'm in the black hole. 99.9% of every Raider fan who ever said they were a Raider fan was standing up in their living room, pulled over in the car, dying for the Raiders to win that game. I can't help the people, the less than 0.0001% who want to lose, because they want to lose, but there's such a tiny group of people, and some of them have lost all their brain cells because of excessive partying in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, that they didn't want to lose this game. I can say that as I open up the show. Matter of fact, I'm going to say that right now again. Everyone I know in Raider Nation, no matter what they care about the draft pick, Shador, Cam, whoever they are, in real time said, oh my God, the Raiders are going to win this game. The Raiders could win this game. I can't believe it. And everybody on Black Friday, if relatives and uncle and aunts were still in town and grandma and grandpa said, get away from me, we're going to beat Kansas City. Anybody who didn't want to beat Kansas City on that final drive, turn in your gear, turn in your hat, you're a bleeping fraud. If you didn't want to beat Kansas City, who might be the 3-time world champs in real time on a national holiday, turn in your gear, you're an absolute freaking fraud. If you didn't want to beat the Chiefs at that moment. I don't know anybody, again, Bobby, I'm getting repetitive, who could have sat there in front of human beings, claimed to have been a Raider fan, have Raiders something on their profile, a photo, a picture, a shirt, and looked around at their family and said, I hope we missed the field goal. I hope we fumbled the ball. I hope we don't want to win the game because April of next year, we might have the second pick or the third or the first. I don't know anybody who did that. If you do, kick those people out of your life. They are horrible. They are terrible. They are negative. They don't need to be with you. I promised I was going to do a quiet monologue. It's amazing what happens when the light goes on. Okay. So what happened? After talking about it with former MVP Rich Gannon, there was confusion late in the game. The Raiders were soaring back to go win the game on the road. They stopped Kansas City all day. They held Kansas City under 20 points. Bowers had, 14, 15 targets, all those receptions, 140 yards, touchdown. Trey Tucker had the bomb. You're welcome. You're welcome. How many times have I tweeted? My thumbs are almost broke. Throw it deep. It worked. Touchdown there. And the Raiders start their march to go win the game. Now, the problem was twofold. And you're going to hear this from me. And you're going to hear honesty because I always do it. And if you don't believe I'm honest after these games, then you don't listen. If you don't believe I'm critical, then you've never listened to me. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you say that I'm not critical after what I said in the postgame show? It was evident to everybody. So as the Raiders used the timeout to bring out Carlson when A.J. Cole was punting, that was a mistake. But I can live with that mistake because Antonio Pierce made a firm decision that, okay, we can make this kick. All right, I'm going to burn a timeout. We're going to go make a kick, which was a really tough kick to make. But he believed in Daniel Carlson. So do I. So does everybody. Everybody believes in Daniel Carlson. He's a hell of a kicker. This ain't no bum. Okay, you're going to miss field goals. Okay, but you're asking this guy to hit 58 ones. Guys in the 50s, he's going to miss one or two. So they burned a timeout there that they could have used late. Okay, you want to be critical of that. I'm not giving Coach a pass on that. I'm just saying that he made a really firm decision. Now, let me stop for a second and tell you one of the criticisms I have over the last 4 to 5 years here. With typically the offensive play callers, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, which was an offensive guy in Josh McDaniels, is they take too much time in the huddle. They take too much time. I've been telling you that forever. They take too much time. These are professional football players, professional coaches. They have assistants that sit in the box and look at the clock. And I always say one thing, run the play that you run in Henderson. How many times have I said that ever since they moved here? Call the play, be firm with it, be firm with it. You can change the play. You can change it. If the quarterback gets to the line of scrimmage and there's 20 seconds on the clock, 15 seconds, you can change it, audible out of it. You can do that. But when you have 5 seconds left on the play clock, you can't do that. You got to run the play. Raiders don't have a timeout late. They don't. They burn that timeout. Okay, they're marching down the field. Abdullah makes a big play up the line. They're in field goal range. Game over. Game over. There's only 2 ways you could lose the football game. 2 ways you could lose the football game at that point. Number 1, you missed the field goal. I don't think you would have missed it. I don't. But you could have. So you could lose the game on a make or miss. Would you take that? Yeah, everyone would take that. Number 2, the only other way you could lose the game is if you fumble the football. But remember, you have no timeout, so you're not going to run the football. You can't. You don't have enough time really to do it. And you're not going to do that down in distance, so why run a play? Again, why run a play? You already got it down there. You're already down there in his range. Game's over. You can't get cute. You don't do anything. You're there. You're going to live and die on the make or miss. Now, if you were other people, maybe you would be attacking the end zone earlier in the drive. I don't think they could have did that. Kansas City's the world champs. They had their safeties deep. I know one of the kids. He grew up in my backyard. He was on the field playing safety. On the field, Jaden Hicks. During that, okay? Kid grew up in my swimming pool. He's on the back end. They weren't going to let a pass go over the top. They weren't. They weren't going to do that. So Aiden O'Connell gets up there and spikes the ball too early. That's the show. It's not the end of the world. It's disappointing. They didn't need to run the play. There was no need to run a play. Okay, so they spike the football. They spike it down, and all of a sudden what happens? The clock stops. And you're sitting there saying to yourself, whoa, wait a second. We could have took the clock all the way down to 5, 4. Then you go timeout to the ref, timeout. And then you bring out the field goal kicker. You grew up with that your whole life. That's how football games end. The majority of the time, they end that way. Not this game. They decided to run another play. There was mass confusion. I watched that play 30 times. Because I had to do the post-game show, and I was on SiriusXM last night. My analysis of the final play, the fumble. Michael Mayer hasn't played in a while. He wasn't set at the line of scrimmage. Not the end of the world. It's a false start. The play was a false start, period. Now they say the referees, could you blow the whistle? Could you hear it? It's the loudest environment in sports. It is. It's louder than Allegiant Stadium anywhere else. So chaos is happening. The far judge throws a flag that could have killed someone. He threw it so hard. He's running in false start. It's false start. I'm watching the game in the control booth with James Jones, Eric Allen, Amber Theo Harris. We're all like, false start. Oh, my God, they're going to screw this up and go back 5 yards. Now Carlson can miss the kick. Now he can. Before that, he doesn't miss the kick, but it should be a false start. Then we find out it's an illegal shift. Well, there was just chaos going on. Look at the players who were involved in the last play. We love them all. We love all those players. They're cornerstones for the team. Michael Mayer had his head up on a rotate and pointing to someone. He was not ready. Okay, there was a little bit of confusion with Big Mike. Okay. Jackson Powers Johnson's there to snap the ball. He gets tapped by Dylan Parham that it's okay to go. Aiden, who's unbelievably accountable, took all the blame post-game because he's clapping, but you can't clap at that point. You can't because they think the clap's the snap. And he's clapping like, hey, what he meant to say is hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Why again? Big conspiracy theory? No. The clock. The clock is always the enemy of the Raiders. Yeah. That's unfortunate. The clock is the enemy of the Raiders in this 2-win season. They're always trailing by double digits. Fact? Yes, fact, not fiction. They're always coming from behind, and they're always burning the clock in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, what are they doing? Say it with me. They're huddling. I don't know why they're huddling. They're losing by 10. They shouldn't be huddling, but you got young players. You want to take your time. Lincoln Kennedy's told me over the decades, when you got young players, you don't want to go no huddle. They'll make mistakes. Bingo. Bingo. We just saw it. Young players make mistakes. So the ball should have never been put in the hands of Jackson Powers Johnson to hike the ball to Aiden O'Connell. That never should have happened. 99 times out of 100, you just let the clock run down. You spike it anywhere you want. 5, 4, 3, whatever you want to do. You're spiking it on third down. If you want to spike it with 10 seconds, I'm good with that in case you screw up the snap. You can do it again. But if you screw up the snap, then you're going to be like 8 yards deep. You might miss the kick. So how about the biggest elephant in the room? Why are we so concerned about giving Mahomes 15 seconds? We really believe that 13-second thing that happened against Buffalo is going to happen again? The way Max Crosby was playing, the way they were playing, you were really worried about Mahomes doing one of those underneath Kelsey, and no one covers him, and he goes 20 yards, and they set up a 60-yard field goal? Why are we thinking like that? The game's over. There's 15 seconds left. Kansas City was going to have no time. Ooh, I got another one for you because I'm so prepped today. It's crazy. Andy Reid was going to call timeout. Remember, it's 15 seconds to go. If Aiden's looking at the ref going, I'm going to let this thing run down to 3, Andy Reid's going to call timeout. Then Andy Reid calls timeout. He's going to have to burn one of his timeouts, and then Aiden walks over to Antonio Pierce, probably, walks over. They talk about it. And then I think someone says, all right, Aiden, here's what we're going to do. We want to kill another 3 or 4 more seconds? I don't think so. But if we do, we're not going to be in the shotgun. We're going to go under center, right? You see Josh Allen in the snow last night, how many times he was under center, right? So you put Aiden under center. He takes a 3-step drop, and he throws it into the 16th row of the crowd, and you take another 5 seconds off that way. But it was what we call in life, a jailbreak. It was a jailbreak. It was a fire drill, and everybody was not communicating properly. That's it. No one needs to apologize. The quarterback already did. Everybody knows what happens here. I remember I always say this, we're big boy radio. We're big boy radio. We're not sitting here saying fire this, fire that. I'm not. I'm just telling you what happened in the game. I know football. I've been a fan for over 55 years. I've been working in football for close to 30. The play was simple. You don't run another play. You wait for the clock to run down. You spike it, and you live and die with Carlson, who I think would have made the kick. If you think he would have missed the kick, all right. You win, I win. Who cares? That's all. That's the show. So I don't think anybody should get fired for it. I think that everybody's pretty accountable. Hopefully it won't happen again. Rich Gannon talked about how you have to practice that. You have to practice it. In his era, it was harder than now. I don't think every day when you do the 2-minute drill at home here in Henderson, you're running through that scenario, but you should be. And you should be communicating from the top with the guys, the offensive coordinators, all the way down to the head coach. And it should be decisive. And everybody just should have said, no more. We don't have to run a play. Because if we run a play and screw it up, we won't be able to kick the game-winning field goal. That's what happened. It's a shame. I was ready to go on the post-game show. I feel for the coaches, the players, their families, everyone in Raider Nation that they didn't win that game. Because as I said, I never, ever, ever want to see any fan who didn't want to win that game. If you're out there, get away from me. If you didn't want to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in real time and you weren't sweating out the turkey from the night before and had a ice cold Modelo next to you with your hands in the air going, we are going to beat these blankety blanks, we got them, then you're not a Raider fan. Oh, JT said who's a fan or not? Oh, you better believe I just did. If you wanted your team in that environment, the way Brock Bowers played, the way Aiden O'Connell played, the way Max Crosby played, and you wanted them to lose, then you're not a fan. You're a fraud. I'll live with that all day long. Everybody knows where to find me. I'm everywhere. You're a phony if you didn't want to beat Kansas City. Now, you might not want to beat Tampa Bay, Jacksonville. I get all that. It's taken me a long time to get over this. I've had a really rough year this year trying to deal with this. I think I'm handling it professionally. At times I'm not. I apologize to anybody who I offended. I want to win every game. I want to win every game because I'm paid by that organization. I'm on their flagship station. I'm Raider Nation through and through. I want them to win. And that game I wanted bad, man. Because the other ones, I get it. 2 wins, I get it. We don't even have rivalry games coming up. No one left other than the Chargers. Chargers are in the playoffs, by the way.
Yeah.
Denver's in the playoffs, by the way.
Right.
So I thought beating Kansas City would have been fantastic. And then, oh my God, the Raiders have 3 wins. Oh my God, I need therapy. Please take me to therapy. The Raiders won 3 instead of 2. Really? They beat Kansas City on a walk-off where everyone in that stadium was still there and had to walk to their cars and go back home and go to the airport and leave, and we could have given them a nice little slap. And you know who was in the booth, right? You know who, with all of her fans. She was there.
Oh,
Everybody was there for a beatdown by the Raiders, and the Raiders lost the game. So that's it. That's it. I respect the hell out of this coach. I don't know anybody who wants to win more than him. He wants to win every time he wakes up every day. Every meeting, every practice, he wants to win. He's a young head coach. It's not the end of the world. We saw a lot of down and distance issues. You could debate it one way or another. I don't think you want to run another play to get 3 or 4 more yards. I don't think you want to run another play to throw it out of bounds. There's just too much that could go wrong. And as we said this year, unfortunately, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. I repeat, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong this entire season. And that's what happened. That is the aftermath of the Las Vegas Raiders loss to the Kansas City Chiefs 19-17 at Arrowhead on Black Friday 2024. Learn from it. Man, there's some good players who played in that game, man. Played their ass off. There's some really good players who played in that game and really played well. And that's something positive to take it away. You hear me rant in the monologue. You think I'm angry and mad and all that. No, I'm just passionate. But I think the experience that Jackson Powers-Johnson got, Aiden O'Connell played an unbelievable game. Played excellent. I'll tell you, a real debate topic is, who should have started all year? Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell? That's fair now. It makes a little bit more sense if you want to go down that road. But when it comes to what happened at the end, we had our most inexperienced players, who I believe are good players, trying to figure out what to do late. And if the plan was we were going to run another play for whatever reason, just to throw the ball out of bounds, then the ultimate bad luck happened. And it has a lot to do with bad luck because these are good guys. These are good guys. And this doesn't happen. How rare is what just happened? Raise your hand and beep your horn if you've been a Raider fan for over 10 years. Let's do 20. How about 30, 40, 50? Anybody out there been a Raider fan for 60 years? How many times can you look back and remember a scenario like this? When I went home that night, I told my wife and my sons who were home, I said, that was the toughest postgame show I did since the Tuck Rule. And we've lost a lot of big games.
Really?
That was the toughest postgame show that I had to do. It's not hard. It's just doing radio. But that one, I had a really difficult time that night. It was Friday night.
Yeah.
You know me, I love my Tito's. I love my Modelo's, love my friends. Friday night. I'm the guy calling everybody, let's go out. It's Friday night. I can't stay home. No. It gut punched me for 2 days.
Yeah.
Because I feel for the coaches, the players, the owner, everyone in that organization that wanted to win the game. You noticed in the last 21 minutes, I'm not screaming and pointing fingers at anybody. It was a breakdown in communication. What do I do for a living? I communicate for a living. I screw up 5 times a day before breakfast. So it happens. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. 702-365-9200 is our number. Chris in West Oakland. He'll kick off the week for us. How are you, Chris?
Hey, JT, much better than I was the other day. Voice still isn't quite back,
Okay.
but I feel 100% better. But you hit it on the head, man. Look, I was screaming and hollering with my laryngitis voice like it was a playoff game. I know this season's going nowhere. I don't know what happens the rest of the year. Again, it's easy to get up for the Chiefs, you would think. You got to take your hat off to Pierce for having these guys ready to play. O'Connell played the best game of his career. It was all right there, and then it broke down. I was like you. I was thinking, why are you spiking the ball at that point? You're already in field goal range. Let it run down to 3 or 4 seconds, kick a field goal and walk off at the gun. But it didn't happen, and that's the way it is. Now, going forward, again, that would have been their Super Bowl, JT. It's like Michigan beating Ohio State. We'll see how they get up for the rest of the games. But as of right now, there's decisions to be made after the year. I've never been, let's fire people in the middle of the season. I've been pretty consistent over the years. I'm not even going to talk about Pierce's job status. All I'm going to say is at this point, and up until now, he's still got the locker room and he's still got the players, because for a season that's just been monumentally disappointed, that team showed up and played like it was a playoff game. From Max Crosby all the way down, something to be proud of. Damn it, they could have knocked the Chiefs out of home field advantage.
Yep.
It would have been a huge W. And I'm with you, man. Look, I know how much we need a quarterback. I know how much I'm looking forward to something in the draft next year. But damn it, there's no way you can be sitting there hoping they lose that game at the end against the freaking Chiefs. You're right. Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, yeah, the Venom ain't quite going to be the same because they're not your hated rivals going through it for a three-peat, but we'll see what happens. But again, I'm not going to rip these guys too much. The Chiefs find way to win, whether you call them lucky or not. You know, you do it once or twice, you're lucky, JT. When it happens over and over, you're pretty damn good. Good teams find ways to win games like this. Bad teams find a way to blow it. But the one reason the Raiders lost this game, it ain't because they didn't show up, and it ain't because this team doesn't have a whole lot of hardened balls, and I still give credit to Antonio Pierce. Again, don't know what's going to happen going forward with him, but my hat's off to him for the way this team shows up and still fights every week. That's all I got in me for my voice right now, bro. I'll give you a call later in the week, and we'll strap it up and go get Tampa Bay.
You
Later,
got
my
it.
friend.
Yeah, appreciate it, Chris. And again, that was just I don't want to say it was a fun game, but it was very entertaining. And I've been saying here that I like entertaining football as a season ticket holder. I want to go to a game and be entertained. Of course, I want to win more than anything, but I want the game to be good. I want to see a bomb to Trey Tucker. I want to see, a sack or two of Mahomes. 5. How about that? I want to see a game-winning field goal made, not missed. And this game will be talked about for the clock management and the final decision to run another play when it wasn't necessary. If you had a timeout, you run another play for 4 yards. It's to Bowers. It's a 3-yard in route, 5-yard in route. Okay, that could get picked off. That he could catch that and fumble. I don't think it's that important to do it. If you needed 10 more yards to get into field goal range, then that's a different story. Then I think you have to run the play, and you got to run it out of bounds or close to out of bounds to try to get another 8 yards to get closer. But I don't think that was necessary. I'm a big fan of Daniel Carlson. I'm not even going to say he had a really bad day. One kick, he kind of stubbed himself before he made contact. He's a hell of a player. I mean, Daniel Carlson is a really important player on this team along with A.J. Cole. We need those guys in the future. They're good. Look at Justin Tucker, who's missing a lot, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. They're right behind him in Baltimore. The coach, every chance he gets, he's our guy. That's our kicker. Right? Kickers miss kicks. I think Carlson would have made that kick. It wasn't that difficult of a kick. Wind wasn't blowing sideways. Did you watch Buffalo, San Francisco? It wasn't that atmosphere. He missed a few already, which I think the odds are he's going to make after those misses. But he didn't get an opportunity to do it because of the fumble. And several players were not aware of what was happening on that play. And that's unfortunate. You can chalk that up to youth. You can. It could happen to Jaden Daniels. It could happen. Look at Caleb Williams. He got his coach fired. Matt Eberflus got fired on Friday because Caleb Williams wasn't smart enough to go, timeout. Excuse me, ref, timeout. We got plenty of time here, 30 seconds, 28 seconds. Coach got fired. I don't think that's the case here at all, nor am I insinuating that. I think this coach is fired up. The team is prepared. They are prepared. Now you say, well, they weren't prepared on that play. Fair. On that play, there was a little bit of chaos. And coach has told me every time I've sat in front of him, and every time he's very accountable when he goes to the microphone, that they learn from this. It's just a shame it happened against Kansas City. The monologue brought to you by Golden Entertainment. They own PTs, The Strat, Wow, they own the Strat. Think of that. This iconic view that we have of the city, the Strats and all of it. That's golden. On top of that, 70-plus taverns here in the Valley. Got an event this week, a buddy's retirement that I'm going to go to later on at a PT's property, the Great American Pub on Buffalo and the 215. So we thank them for fueling the monologue. I'm going to be thanking, you're going to hear a lot of me talking about our partners this month. I do it a lot, but this is the holiday season. I want to thank all our partners who join us. 702-365-9200. I left the whole first hour open for phone calls. That's strategically what I wanted to do. Harry Ruiz, the Spanish voice of the Silver and Black at 1:30, and our weekly hit with Sam Monson from the 33rd team at the top of the hour. Tough loss for the Raiders. We move on. Well, we're going to spend a day or two on this game. That's the plan this week, and then Tampa Bay is the next opponent. Woo! Woo! How was that? Was that all right, man? Got a little bit of cranky Yankee, cranky Raider, a couple calls. Yeah, we're ready.
Morning tailgate, weekdays at 7 a.m. on Raider Nation Radio, 920 a.m.
Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends. I'm gonna make Big D my moderator in here. I gotta give him make him the moderator. Yeah, the play clock always concerns me, man. There's not a lot of things I say during a game that get me going. Let me get a beverage. I need a beverage real quick. I'll be right there. Chat amongst yourself.
Let's come out with that. No. We haven't? No, we don't have it. We don't have it still. I thought you just, we don't have it. Okay.
Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. It can help anyone sleep. At Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale, get a king for the price of a queen and a free adjustable base with select Sealy beds, all with a low price guarantee. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store website for details.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like this.
Designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking. Where'd you get your windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful. Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Joe's Seafood, prime steak and stone crab. The legendary seafood restaurant of Miami Beach is right on the strip to bring you a true dining destination. Serving USDA prime steaks, quality seafood, and world-famous Florida stone crab claws defined by a standard of hospitality for over a century. Inside the forums of Caesars, Joe's offers guests an experience that is perfect for lunch, after-work cocktails, social gatherings, to late-night dining. From private, semi-private dining for both intimate and large party gatherings.
Kick off football season at Chickies and Pete, ESPN's #1 sports bar at the all-new Sahara, Las Vegas. Take a culinary journey with game day bites, including world-famous crab fries, premium burgers, exciting drink specials, and 20 beers on tap. Immerse yourself in every play with 50 massive screens and cutting-edge sound.
You got those three versions of it? You got those three versions of the fumble? It's in there. Already put it in there. He sent it to us. Okay. SNF 0940. And then 41 and 14.
All right.
I'll tell you what, you want the long version?
I'll throw to it.
Okay.
I'll throw to it. Just have one of them ready. That'd be good. Thanks, Q.
Yep.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. On radio, talking about the play.
Yeah, I got a sheet somebody told me existed, but whatever.
Yeah, it was a tough one. It's the only impossible day for me. Everyone have fun? Okay.
Students work 1 day a week earning funds toward their education and gaining essential professional skills.
This is Danielle Verdias from Lotus Broadcasting. We have been working with Cristo Ray St. Viator for 5
Cool.
years and just signed up for our
All right, let me wrap this up, Okoye. We'll put some plans together for this week. You got it.
desire to learn.
Bye-bye.
CrystalRaySaintViator.org today to learn.
All right, what do we got?
HVAC, DIYers, and construction pros. Avondale Industrial Hardware has everything you need.
I've got 2 calls holding, and
What's that?
it's gonna be here talking about the
Okay.
conflict from the back.
Great monologue, thank you. Well, I was pretty much Captain Obvious, Fabian, right? The Winers lost. I got to get into that. Fabian, my son was saying I need to get into more NFL, which I'm going to for our YouTube audience.
5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
And everything like that. Just curious, you and the staff, is there anything you guys would have done differently at the end of the game in retrospect as you kind of went over everything, coming home?
No. All right, strong comments from Antonio Pierce. Nothing they would have done different. He's the coach. He lives by the result. JT, back with you as we continue. Again, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. This was great. My son headed back to ASU. My son's a senior at Arizona State during the Big 12 championship game, which is kind of cool because when he started there as a freshman, they were terrible. They were awful. They weren't very good. And now they're in the Big 12 championship game, which is absolutely remarkable. And how about UNLV football? UNLV football coming through in a massive way. They'll go play Boise, and that'll be a big test. Ashton Genty's the best running back in football. They're going to run it right at UNLV. And UNLV's making plays left and right. They're opportunistic. Their defense, their ball hawks. Should be a great game. This entire city. Okay, I've been here since the mid-'90s. Bobby, too. UNLV football, I've had friends who have played throughout the decades on teams that won 2 games, 3 games, 4 games. Not enough. They were football. I didn't play D1 football. These guys did. The whole valley should be coming together for UNLV. The watch parties, as a matter of fact, we got to figure out what we're doing. We should do something too. Yeah. Wherever the watch parties are, whatever you're doing, it's got to be a big deal around here. So let's get behind the Rebels. Friday. That's a great story for Friday heading into the weekend. No doubt about it. So this is the aftermath of the loss. Mahomes threw that one touchdown where he threw it across his body like a magician. He got hit. He threw it into the end zone. It was caught. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That ball was caught, let alone thrown. That's what they do. They make a play or two in a game that you just sit there and go nuts. And, of course, my head was popping in the first half when Kelsey was running like a doe in the forest and no one put their hands on him. They did get to Kelsey in the second half of that game. A lot of balls from Mahomes were rushed. A lot of the field condensed more. Remember, the middle of the field's been open on defense. I thought the Raiders played better on defense with the game on the line. I mean, how hard did the Raiders play? We're not giving out. You don't get moral victories in football. Only in NASCAR can you come in third place and have a good day and get points. Okay, we're not giving away points for coming in the top 2. They lost the game. But, man, the team plays hard, and it shuts up a lot of people who normally would be mocking the Raiders and mocking them hard now. I mean, people are saying the Raiders play as hard as any team in football. They're supposed to. They're all getting paid a lot of money. But a lot of other teams check out this time of year. They just check out, and the Raiders are not doing that. It's a lot of prideful players in that locker room. And we played sound today on Raiders Roundtable of Max Crosby and Sincere McCormick. Happy for him. Brock Bowers. You should have saw their faces in the locker room after the game. They wanted it so badly. So your takeaway from the game, that's the topic today. What'd you think? How proud are you for the effort? Or how disappointed are you for the ending? Brock Bowers is a superstar. Great. But there's a lot to talk about. Jim in Naples, Florida. Hello, Jim.
I love the show, love the knowledge of football, and love your enthusiasm. And any team that had your knowledge and enthusiasm would always be a winning team. So I love that. However, I disagree on AP. He is not. He should be fired. A head coach has certain obligations and duties. One of them is to be a motivator, There's no question AP is a 10 out of 10 motivator. But the second one, which is probably even more important, is decision making. And he has made enormous decision mistakes, and he makes them over and over.
Because as you know, Jim, and I appreciate you listening, I'm not the Fire the Coach show. I'm not. As you know me, I work with the coach. I interview him Wednesdays. So I don't want to take calls on people saying that. So I hope you respect that. I don't think he's made a ton of mistakes along the way. There's been a handful of decisions in regards to challenges and down and distance with the clock that I think you're fair to criticize.
Well, let me criticize that. Maybe firing might be
Yeah, that is extreme on the flagship station. That's extreme.
You just played the clip. AP was asked after the game if you would do anything wrong, and he says no. And the scary thing about that is that there were enormous mistakes made in that game. It wasn't just the last mistake where they didn't kick the field goal. They had blown a timeout on the punt where they were indecisive whether they were going to punt or try the 58-yard field goal. That was the first timeout they lost. The second timeout they lost was when they called a timeout with 2:07 left before the 2-minute warning went off. Okay, what happened was, because that was on third down, that gave Reed the opportunity to pass the ball. He wouldn't have had that in his arsenal. He was lucky they took a long pass and missed it.
They missed it.
But guys like Andy Reid know that a timeout at that time opens up their playbook. Okay, if they didn't do that, if they ran it down to the 2-minute warning, what would have happened is Reid would have had to have run that time because he otherwise they wouldn't have missed the opportunity of letting the clock run. So they opened up the playbook. They allowed him to pass it. They missed the pass, the long one, but that's the reason everyone was saying, "Oh my God, why did they pass? It's crazy." They did it because we called the timeout in the wrong place. And what I'm saying is, listen, I'm not an expert in football. I have some background in football, but this isn't my job. But I can tell you this: that's a mistake. And if he's not, listen, AP's awesome, but he's not recognizing mistakes that are made, and he's not learning by them if you don't recognize them. And so what I'm saying is, there are guys like Gruden, Reed, guys that are experienced managers. They will never make that mistake. They know how to play this game right down. I'm not saying it's easy. It's really complicated and it's really hard. But AP does not have that. He's an awesome guy. I love the motivator. I really like the guy. He's unbelievable. But he continues to make mistakes. And I disagree with that he hasn't made. He's made them before. He's made them on other games. But these are things that you have to have. It's not a learn on the job. You have to be there with experience.
Yeah, and I appreciate the call, Jim. Thanks for checking in Naples. Thank you. No, you can learn on the job. That's what he's doing. And I'm not making excuses for down and distance and timeouts or not reviewing calls that I've been vocal about. If we disagree about it, we'll talk about it. But he is learning on the job. He was a linebacker coach. I was listening to Vinny Bonsignore this morning on the morning tailgate, and he made that point. It was a very good point. He is, a year and a half ago, he's a linebacker coach. Year and a half ago, not 2-3 years ago. He is learning on the job. So is Gerard Mayo, another great linebacker up in New England. He's making a lot of mistakes. He's learning on the job. When you hire a head coach who doesn't have a lot of experience, but is a master motivator like Antonio Pierce, there's going to be some growing pains. Mark knows that. Everybody does. We're not saying it's okay. That's why you're open to criticism. But it is part of learning how to become a head coach. That's why you have other coaches there. Remember, this team during that game had Norv Turner in the booth, Marvin Lewis on the sideline, along with Joe Philbin. That's 3 former head coaches in the league with under 2 minutes to go. They all have the ability to say whatever they want at any moment to the coach. You got an offensive line coach who was a head coach. You got Marvin Lewis, who won a lot of games. And upstairs, you got Norv Turner, one of the great play callers, and his son, Scott, who I thought did a pretty good job overall. A pretty good job. So if you're going to be critical of the decision that made, you got to lump everybody together. But the head coach is the most accountable. And he's going to have to talk about it this week. That was his first press conference. He'll have more. I'll sit down with him. We'll go over the play one more time. But he's a proud guy. He wants to win. He wants to put his team in the best position to win. And sometimes when you don't have timeouts and everything's going nuts and you're in a loud environment like that, I'm not making an excuse for him, but mistakes are made.
I'm sorry, what?
I think the mistake that was made was the Raiders should have let the clock run down to 5 seconds and not spike it at 15. That's it. That's a pretty big deal, right? Let it go down to 5. And I believe that something that went into that, there's only 2 people or 3 people in the history of the world who put you in that concern. Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and Patrick Mahomes. Those are the 3 guys. Not even Lamar Jackson, not even Dan Marino, John Elway, who I respect. There's just a couple of guys that if you give them 11 seconds left, they can complete 2 passes and kick a field goal. I do not think Kansas City would have been able to do it. I think that's got to be in the back. Why else would you run another play to throw it out of bounds? Why? You would do it because you're concerned, A, that you don't have enough yards, but you're going to throw it out of bounds. You're not going to run a play. So take that out. And B, you're worried that Mahomes is going to have too much time. And at that point, I don't think you really want to worry about that at all. I think you want to worry about Carlson mentally being in a good spot where Carlson looks you in the eye and says, yeah, coach, I got this. We're going to win the game. It's hard. I mean, there's a lot of decisions are life and death in football. Football terms, life and death, not real life and death. And there were some big decisions that were made late in that game that were tough. Ty in Wyoming, you're up next. Thanks for calling on the mobile app.
Hey, JT, thanks for taking my call.
Yep, thank you.
Hope you had a good holiday. A lot of people have said what I wanted to say, but I agree with you on the we got to beat the Chiefs, man. It's if we won one game this season, that would be it. That would be the one I'd want to win. I'm with you on that.
Imagine being a fan of any team. Any team. Let's get the Raiders out of this conversation. Let's talk about the Giants. If the Giants were playing the Eagles with 2 wins and they were going to get ready for a game-winning field goal, every Giant fan would want to beat the Eagles. Every Raider fan wants to beat the Chiefs. Every Dolphin fan wants to beat the Bills. No matter what the record is, all that goes out when you're a passionate fan and you love your team. And I think all of Raider Nation wanted to win that game. It was too important of a game to lose that way.
Absolutely. I agree. And I really liked what I saw with the offense up until that point.
So did I.
I thought Aiden had a hell of a game. I thought he played really well. And up until that last second, I mean, these things happen, you know. As far as the coaching goes, I just want some consistency with the Raiders. I've been a fan for 30 years, and I can't even be in the – well, look what happened to Derek Carr. I mean, he went through so many coaches, different schemes, and I believe it ruined him. But
okay.
I appreciate you.
Thanks, Ty. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling, man. Appreciate you from Wyoming. Thanks for the call. That was brought to you by La Casa Cigars and Lounge, Tivoli Village. Music 7 nights a week. Mike knows how to throw a holiday month party. It's a party every month. No doubt about that. Monday, we love La Casa Cigars and Lounge, proud partner of the show. Now, you want to win that game. Everybody wants. When I'm a Yankee fan, we play the Red Sox. It hasn't happened much in our time together, but if the Yankees were 25 games out of Boston, 25 games out, or they were 20 games up, I'd want to beat Boston every time. No matter what the score was, you want to win every time. And I think Raider fans understood that. Man, I was invested in that game. I was talking to Eric Allen. Rich Gannon made a good point about Aiden O'Connell. I think Aiden's started 15 or 16 games. I'll get the exact number. Someone checked that for me in the chat. He said 3 different play callers.
Oh, yeah.
3 for Aiden O'Connell. And he came in there and he mastered that offense. He mastered it. And if you would have told him to throw it another 10 times, he would have completed 8 of them. He outperformed Patrick Mahomes. He did. He outperformed Mahomes in Mahomes' building. That's important going forward for Aiden. I think we should be talking about the future Aiden O'Connell. And I love the new playbook. I like the playbook with Scott and Norv because they're doing what I want to see done the most. Get the ball to Brock first. Okay? Get the ball to Brock first and then let everybody else get their seconds and their helpings and their mashed potatoes and their sides after that. We show up to Thanksgiving, Black Friday. We feed Brock first. He gets to eat first at the adult table. Then everybody else, except maybe Jacoby Myers, everybody else get to the kids' table. We're going to feed Brock and get Brock going every game.
It's unnecessary roughness.
I like that. Feed Brock first. Feed Brock first. I like that. 4 play callers. Okay. I thought it was 3. Gannon said 3.
Don't miss Unnecessary Roughness weekdays at 2 on Raider Nation Radio, 920 AM.
This is JT the Brick reminding you this holiday season, make any holiday party. So everyone had a good Thanksgiving, I'm assuming. Yeah, I got pigs. I could take a Brock spot. I'm not a jersey wearing guy. I have a couple of my own JT the Brick jerseys, but I think I'm getting still very young man. But I'm not the jersey guy. Brock the Blue Chipper. Optimus Bauer, is that what Jason Horowitz said? That was a nice call. AOC is a team player and will be good with backing up Sanders. Yeah, that could be a reality, man. If Shador comes to the Raiders and the Raiders are able to get him, you wouldn't start him at all. You'd have someone like Aiden start off. Yeah, look at the Chargers winning. Chargers, man, if the Chargers lost that game, they'd be 6-5. I think they might probably find their way out of the playoffs. Now that win gets them to 8 wins. They're in. Kirk Cousins, 4 interceptions.
Yeah, hey, Michelle, you're going to lead off next segment. Be ready. Okay, buddy?
50% off transferring happy hour 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. daily with over 65 locations.
All right. I'm going to play that Aiden fumble.
Yep.
to find your favorite neighborhood tavern.
I think Brock could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think they're going to give it to Jaden Daniels. Tell you, Saquon Barkley's making a run at the MVP.
Self-insured businesses for over 20 years. Whether your business is retail, trucking, building, agriculture, or auto, our team has the expertise to make sure your coverage meets your needs and at a price that fits your budget. Our award-winning team keeps track of all the important regulatory issues that impact your business.
Yeah, you don't have to be in the shotgun all the time. If Aiden was going to throw the ball away late, I wanted him to be under center. So then you can take out the potential for a botch snap.
Visit our website at pgnmp.com to receive a free cost savings analysis now. That's pgnmp.com or call our Las Vegas office at 702-740-4380. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for
Let's take this one call. I got about 4. Monson know the call here, by the way?
What's going on with that?
The guy from Lotus is coming in tomorrow or Wednesday. They're going to put in a whole new phone system for this one here. So, fucked up. I'll take care of that.
Oasis Food Cooking. Oasis Bar and Grill on Decatur, just south of Tropicana. Follow on Instagram at Oasis Bar and Grill to find out about daily dinner specials.
Where does a journey to wellness begin? Do you start looking for diet ideas?
Derwin James, interception, 10 tackles, 2 tackles for losses. Wow. A hell of a game. No, Arch Manning is in the draft next year, not this upcoming one, the year after that. I would give away my home, my cars, everything for Arch. I think he's a can't miss. I think he's the next Andrew Luck. I do. I think he's a can't miss. I think he's got more talent than Eli. He's going to the Hall of Fame and probably as good as Peyton was. But Peyton was better because he started more in Tennessee. But Arch will play next year. Need everybody to hit the like button if you can. Take a second and hit the like button. Thank you.
The official tequila of the JT the Brick Show.
This has got to be either on the sideline or a quick throw. They snapped it. O'Connell wasn't ready. The ball's on the turf, and the Chiefs have the football.
There's a flag down.
Please be a false start. Otherwise, this game is over.
That's what I thought. I thought it was a false start. Jason Horowitz on the call with Lincoln Kennedy. As you heard, we are brought to you by Tequila Commissariо. What a fantastic tequila. Discover Tequila Commissariat, proud partner of our show. Their tequilas are aged from 7 to 10 years, from seed to sip. Each bottle is 14 to 17 years in the making. And it is just a fantastic tequila. We appreciate their proud partnership. Have a holiday cocktail curated for every event. Each holiday, use fresh ingredients from seasonal harvest, all at Tequila Commissariat. So this is the aftermath of the Raiders' loss in Kansas City. A lot of people aren't blaming anybody. I know people are blaming the coach, blaming the quarterback, blaming the center, blaming the refs. I could have done 4 hours without a breath on the refs. I mean, I thought the refs really – it's amazing what happens in Kansas City when the refs huddle up. It's amazing. Don't even get me going. When the one guy says this, one guy says that, and then they all meet together and it's in favor of Kansas City. Shocking.
Every time.
Machete Raider is in Oaktown. Go ahead. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, thanks, JT, for taking my calls.
Yep.
Hey, I have some criticism and I have some praise for the coach. Now, Antonio last year took over the team. He did a great job. He was flying and getting things done all on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have all these consultants. I think he's a great coach. He's learning. But the fact that he's got so many people around him is keeping him from learning and getting ahead of the game. So I think if we keep him, and I hope we do, because I think he's a great coach, like any other coach or any other job, you have to learn on the job. And there's lots of things. And I disagree with the previous caller who said that he didn't have, he wasn't learning from his mistakes. I think he is. I think he has a Raider style, which we all love. But with that being said, he is making mistakes, which is, totally reasonable mistakes because he's learning. But if we keep all these other people he has around him, he's not going to learn. And as far as the game, oh my God, I don't even want to get started with the refs,
Yeah.
And there's one thing we got to look forward to, and that's we do have a quarterback. You just don't go to Arrowhead and play like that.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't. I don't care who you are. If people don't see what we have in this quarterback, they're blind. We need to back this guy up, give him some time, and he's practically a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
So I just can't believe what a poise he has.
Yeah,
we had Gannon back there.
Yeah, and I appreciate the call, Machete Raider. Thank you. The thing about the quarterback scenario, Aiden is a good young quarterback. He's a good young quarterback. He's not elite. He's not at the level of Jaden Daniels. He's not at the level. Look, Caleb Williams went number 1 overall. You could say Aiden plays a smarter brand than Caleb, but Caleb's, franchise legendary potential quarterback, and he'll turn it around there. We've always said the Raiders are going to get a quarterback in the draft. We know that. We just don't know where they're going to pick yet. And we know they're going to get a quarterback, probably. And if they don't get a quarterback in the first pick, I would bet you they'd try to trade up and get one. Or if not, they'd go get a franchise leading quarterback who's a veteran, whatever they're going to do. We all know the priority for the Raiders is to get a quarterback, but they have a good young one in Aiden O'Connell, who could be a bridge quarterback for a top young player coming in. He could be the bridge because he'd play. Or he could be someone who could back up a veteran if a veteran was available in case you had to break the glass and do that. We all know what's going to happen here, and there's going to be people divided by it. They're not going to like the pick. They're going to want the younger pick over the veteran. They're going to want Aiden. They're going to want Aiden to start. They're going to want Aiden to back up. All of that's coming, and it's coming like a roaring freight train, but not until after the Super Bowl or around the Super Bowl. Got games to play. Hour number 1 in the books, brought to you by M Resort, Spa and Casino, proud partner of the Raiders, the official hotel resort of the Silver and Black. I'm going to keep it here. I'm going to keep it here for a little bit. Normally I bail. Let's keep the chat going. Right, Fabian? The 2000s ended with the Tuck game. It did. Yeah, well, if you think that they're going to get a difference maker as a rookie, all for it. What would Purdy be doing if he was on the Titans? He wouldn't be Brock Purdy, I can tell you that. Raider Ryan. Should have been a false start. It was blown dead. Line wasn't set yet. That's the way I saw it. Why was there even a false start? That's the other point I'm trying to make. If the false start would have cost the Raiders 5 yards. If they let the CEO, what's happening, brother? If they let the clock tick down to 5 seconds, there wouldn't have been a false start. Wouldn't have. They just would have spiked it. That's what I've been saying. Yeah, I think they saw that illegal shift. I believe it was Michael Mayer moving around a lot there. I think that's what they saw. He wasn't set.
If you bleed silver and black, visit theblackhole.com today. That's theblackhole.com.
Oaktown Mojo.
The experts at lendingstore.com have provided consumers with quick access to lenders, and all credit types are welcome. Now, cash is as close as your phone and as soon as tomorrow.
Bricklayers. Payton's in there. He knows. Look at those numbers. We're getting them up there. Remember, every Wednesday, we're live on the Raiders YouTube. We go live, and then they air it later on. Tijuana checking in. Oh, Tijuana. I love Tijuana, man. Back in the day, man, I had some good brick stories living in San Diego. Going over to Tijuana, past Tijuana. Ensenada. Staying on the beach in Ensenada. Oh, tacos on the beach, ice cold cervezas. Rooms were like $40 a night back in the day, man. It was a good time. Yep. That was a beautiful ball to Tucker. Just got to send a text out to my son quick.
Calling me?
Nope.
Saturday, December 14th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Secret Santa Project will give away hundreds of toys at the Masonic Lodge, 2200 West Mesquite Avenue. Toys are available for children ages 1 to 11 years of age. Santa Claus will be there, and so will the Grinch. For volunteer information, financial or toy donations, call 702-429-7415 or go to lvsanta.org and help make Christmas wishes
What's that?
true.
No, fucking already sent me a text about the cut. I'm like, yeah, no, but it's not doing me any good.
Okay. Harry Ruiz, the Latino voice of the Silver and Black.
Raider Nation Radio. Hey, Sam, we're going to talk for about 90 seconds. He's ready. Yeah, this is why I keep the goddamn phone out of it.
Why?
Between her opinion and
Face of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is a rich
Modelo.
delivering a crisp, refreshing taste, brewed with fighting spirits.
Watching the show on the PS5. Love that. Yeah, I want to get to 6,000, and then I want to get to 10, and then I want to get to 20,000. Then we'll have a lot going on here. It takes time, man. This is not easy building a YouTube page, but I'm enjoying it.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes it off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Over to the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2 brought to you by Modelo, the fighting spirit of Modelo. Raise a glass with Modelo and the fighting spirit as we continue on. Always love having Sam Monson on every Monday. We get to have him on from the 33rd team. Fantastic analysis. The podcast is a must listen. Sam, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I want to begin on the Thursday and the Friday game, the first 2 games and what happened with Matt Eberflus, with Caleb down the stretch, and then we'll move on to Antonio Pierce and what happened with Aiden O'Connell. Let's start with Thanksgiving and the Bears and the fallout.
Yeah, it was a complete mess at the end of the game. What was wild to me, though, is that if you showed anybody the first half of that game, there's no way you would be able to convince them that it was a close contest by the end. The Lions absolutely destroyed Chicago in the first half. They had 18 first downs before the Bears had even gotten their first one. And as soon as they got a first down, they lost yardage on it. They were absolutely wrecked in the first half, and then they did manage to come back and make it a close game. Detroit never got out of sight. They fumbled the ball away before potentially putting another score on the board. So they did get it close. They did have a chance to try and execute that field goal, and then just a complete and total breakdown across the board. I think they had a plan that was a reasonable one, but Caleb Williams got confused, tried to change the play at the line, and Matt Eberflus didn't save him. Instead of calling a timeout and trying to fix what was happening, he just kind of stared at it and watched it take place in front of them, and I think was, rightfully thrown under the bus by most of the Bears players, and then ultimately shown the door at the end of it.
Well, the Raiders were able to move the ball and getting game-winning position for Daniel Carlson. He missed a few kicks, but as you know, he's a really good kicker here. The Raiders didn't let the clock wind down to 5 seconds and just kick it. They wanted to run one more play. Reports were from the coach to throw it out of bounds, so they didn't want to get closer. Walk me through the down and distance and what happened as the Raiders had a real chance on Black Friday.
Yeah, I think they were another team that got themselves in a position to execute the kick. I think you're right. Probably they make that kick. It's a very makeable position. And then they goofed. There was another breakdown of communication. Only this time it's between the offensive lineman and the quarterback. It's not coaching to the quarterback. There was a miscommunication on when to snap the ball. And suddenly there goes the fumble. They lose possession, it's a turnover, and Kansas City escapes yet again. I think they were fine to keep going. I don't know about the decision to, throw the ball out of bounds, and I'm not sure I see the huge upside or the potential upside that would offset the potential risk of exactly what happened. But I think it's fine to keep playing in that situation, go for that win, and just a mistake that doesn't tend to happen. A real freak occurrence that obviously devastating for the Raiders, but yet another absolute freak play for Kansas City that is keeping their crazy record intact this season.
Sam Monson is our guest. The missed kicks by Justin Tucker, one of them was huge because it would have given him the lead. I think having the lead puts pressure on the opponent to maybe run different plays, to be a little bit tighter. And wow, I know that John Harbaugh is supporting this future Hall of Famer, but it's really putting Baltimore in some tough spots. And this one cost him. He had another bad game that you could say he's the difference or not, but he's part of the equation.
He is. And I think the Ravens are in an incredibly tough spot because of this. Like, Justin Tucker is the greatest kicker in NFL history. And he's one of the only guys to whom the general rules have not applied. He's sort of the kicker version of Derrick Henry, where he hasn't fallen off before and he hasn't kind of lost his way mid-career. He's just been metronomic and incredibly accurate, and up until recently the most accurate kicker in NFL history, in addition to attempting longer kicks than a lot of kickers as well. He's just been fantastic, and it's all hit him at once. And up until that game, every single miss this season had been wide left. Something was happening, but the results were the same. They were all going left. And it was almost like he tried to overcorrect in that game and said, well, okay, if I'm missing everything left, I'm finally just going to play to the draw, and I'm going to aim right. And as soon as he did that, he hit it exactly the way he'd aimed and missed right. And you could see on his face at the end of that game, both that miss and even one that he made after that, it's not going where he wants it to. And I don't know if he knows how to fix it. He seems kind of lost. It's like a golfer that's developed, a kink in his mechanics, and he can't work out how to fix it on the fly. And unfortunately for kickers in the NFL, you just don't get given the time to work through those problems because they're costly. You do that for a week and it costs you a game. You do it for 2 weeks and it costs you a season. So now the Ravens are in this really tough spot where if he was any other kicker, I think they'd have probably already made a move and said, it's not going to work out. We're going to get the next guy. But because it's Justin Tucker, it's arguably the greatest kicker to ever play, you want to give him the chance to try and come through the other side of this. but so far there's no signs that he is going to.
Sam Monson's our guest. You could also check out the podcast with Steve. It's right there on their YouTube channel as well. All the different platforms for Check the Mic. So I've been dying to ask you this about Christian McCaffrey starting or not. And here's my theory. If you're healthy and you're getting paid this much money, you play. And it's kind of a must-win situation for the Niners. But knowing his lower body injuries and putting him in harm's way in a snowstorm in Buffalo, I mean, Kyle knew 3 days ago that they were going into 23 inches at some point, and especially during the game. What do you think the risk-reward was there to maybe hold them out one more game with 2 home games coming in Santa Clara, where they probably have a better opportunity to win and keep them fresh for the end of the year? How do I read into that?
Yeah, I think you have to just assume once he gets cleared medically, he's good to go. And I think they had done their diligence there. They had let him take the time off and get himself right. He was, for all intents and purposes, back. And I think we just sort of saw, either an extremely unlucky coincidence or, the product of compensation lower down your leg when you're dealing with the tendonitis in both legs, something somewhere else on your body tries to overcompensate for that. And, something else went. And it sounds like it's a PCL sprain that could keep him out for a bit. I think it's just unlucky. I think you had to play Christian McCaffrey in that game, assuming he was good to go. That was effectively the 49ers season on the line. They're mathematically still alive, but that game was a game they really, really wanted to get back and try and rescue the year. If you're going to do that, you need Christian McCaffrey playing at the peak of his powers. And, early on in the game, he almost broke off a big touchdown run. He was the best thing they had going for them. Unfortunately, they just got a horrible outcome from it.
Sam, it's going to take the Steelers to go deep in the playoffs for this Russell Wilson move to truly pay off. But he had to have quieted all of his critics now. 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, cold weather game. He threw us the best deep ball I've seen in quite some time. They win on the road against the Bengals in a hostile environment. Just think of all the teams that passed up on Russ for $1 million as we look around the league at some of the teams that are at the bottom and could have had Russ for that price.
Yeah, and a huge win for Pittsburgh because not just do they get the win against a dangerous Cincinnati team, but at the same time as Baltimore drops that game against Philadelphia. So a really important win for Pittsburgh overall. Yeah, I think what they did in the offseason, the Steelers, was extremely shrewd business in terms of the quarterback position. They decided Kenny Pickett wasn't the guy. You bring in 2 quarterbacks for pennies on the dollar. Russell Wilson, or almost all of his contract, is being picked up by Denver. And then Justin Fields, in a kind of reclamation, pretty cheap deal in a trade. And they're using both of them. I mean, Fields is coming in and sort of finishing the game as this designated runner when they don't want to risk putting the ball in the air because he's more dynamic on the ground than Russell Wilson is. And I think it's extremely smart. Wilson has raised the ceiling of the offense. They have more potential when he's under. But they haven't just said, all right, thanks for your work, Justin, take a seat. They are still using him as well. So I think just a phenomenal coaching job by Mike Tomlin.
Wrapping it up with Sam Monson. Sam, at the game when Jets were up 21-7 at home with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and the rest of that roster, they had Seattle dead. And I expected Seattle to come back, but I didn't think at that point they'd win the game. I thought it was a great betting opportunity when I saw Seattle -2. I thought Seattle would win the game. They were the better team, but halfway through that game, I thought they were buried. What'd you see with the Seahawks at that moment going through a Hall of Famer? They shut down Aaron Rodgers completely in the 3rd and 4th quarter. That can't happen for a Rodgers-led team who had that many healthy weapons on the outside.
Yeah, the game really swung on back-to-back plays where there was a play in the red zone where the Jets, if they'd scored, would have gone up 28-7, and Rodgers misses a wide-open Garrett Wilson in the end zone. I think he was talking about the wind. Either way, if they get the touchdown, it's probably dead and buried. Instead, the very next play is when he throws the pick 6 to Leonard Williams. So we're talking about basically a 14-point swing in Seattle's direction at that point. And then you could see the belief, the faith that the Jets had that actually we're going to put it right today. We're going to get this win. We've turned a corner. It all crumbled instantly. That's how fragile I think their belief is based off what's happened to them this season already. As soon as that happened, 14-point swing is a different psychological blow, I think, for any team to deal with. For the Jets, it was just way too much. And from that point on, it was all Seattle.
Sam, last one, the Texans. Aziz Al-Shahir apologized for the hit on Trevor Lawrence. And then we saw the flag planting with the Michigan-Ohio State game. Just a big picture question on sportsmanship for you. When you saw this weekend, a lot of people were bothered by poor sportsmanship, dirty hits, and especially the behavior in college after these games as everyone's grabbing a flag and coming out to the 50 and planting it. There's pepper spray involved in Ohio State, Michigan. What do you think of all that? Because it was really an important weekend. A lot of people didn't watch complete games, but they saw a lot of tweets and TikTok views and Instagram views of all this chaos.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to think that if you don't want the team, your opposition to go celebrating in your house, then do something about it. Win the game. Like,
right.
Once you've lost, you've sort of forfeited the right to defend your territory. Your defense of your territory was the game, and you failed. So at that point, they've kind of won the right to celebrate. And, planting the flag, it's obviously a little bit pointed. It's a little bit disrespectful, but it's not, ridiculous. It's not so offensive to anybody that they should be starting a fight over it. I think that's just the reality. You lost your chance to stop that from happening. So at that point, you just have to suck it up and let them celebrate. And the motivating factor is, well, next time we'll win the game or we'll do it at their house. But I don't think you can start a fight over that. That's kind of on you. Whether or not the teams that win should have a kind of better, more class about them and, not stoop to that level. Yeah, you can argue that, but ultimately I think that they've won the right to do that with that win.
The 33rd team, Sam Monson, check the mic, find it on all of Sam's platforms at Sam Monson, NFL, MONSON, a must follow. Thanks, Sam. Talk to you next week. Appreciate you.
Anytime. Take it easy.
You got it. Always good to have that hit every Monday to go around the league. Something I'll be doing more because the Raiders have been eliminated from playoff contention. You know that. I just said it. And we will cover the NFL. And when the Raiders are eliminated and the playoffs begin, I'll be doing an NFL show and waiting on breaking news from the Raiders. We had a meeting today. A lot of people wondering what we're doing. All of our shows are running for a long time. We got a lot of platforms here. Raiders Roundtable, Raiders Rundown. I do that every Wednesday. They turn that into the TV show. We got this radio show 5 days a week. It is fueled by football, period, college and pro. This week, I'd like to do a little more UNLV. So we're going to hit on UNLV for all the fans in town that want that and want to bring it into the space. We would appreciate that. Golden Knights lost 6-0. Utah. Woo! Mo! I was talking to Vince Sapienza today, and he let me know that that's the worst loss ever. They've never been shut out by 6 or more goals. I did not know that. They've lost by goals. They've never been shut out at T-Mobile. At T-Mobile by that. I said, ooh, I almost pulled over when I heard that. What was going on for that? So we'll get into the Golden Knights, and I think I'll be checking out a couple of games coming up here, but we're going to focus on the Raiders and the Buccaneers and more taking your phone calls. I figured I'd have 9 lines on hold today. So more people who had their beer muscles out and Twitter muscles out telling me about that final sequence of plays. You got an open line. Let's hear from you, 702-365-9200. Brought to you by Grimaldi's. My son and my wife were out yesterday doing some holiday work, and when they left, they said, where are the Grimaldi gift cards? I said, they're in the drawer. And they looked and they grabbed a couple, and they went to Grimaldi's. And I was home alone. My son drove back to college, and they came in with 2 pizzas, a couple of salads, and we sat down. I had to do the show at 8 o'clock at night. We had an early dinner. Grimaldi's tastes great. We got the Brooklyn Bridge pizza, the Mediterranean salad. We sat down like a family and ate Grimaldi's. The best pizza I ever had. It's fabulous, man. And especially when you warm it up, dude, Bob, because I have one of those. We got to cover. Not Grimaldi's too good for the microwave. You never put pizza in a microwave. The air fryer oven, nice. Got to keep an eye on it because it goes quick. But yeah, so we had Grimaldi's here over the weekend. Thank you for being a proud partner. Tyler is in Las Vegas on 920. Hello, Tyler. I'm doing good. What's going on?
Great. So, yeah, that one hurt, man. Yeah. And, I know we don't want to laugh about it, but it is kind of funny because, for a bad team, and the Raiders are a bad team, there's no way about it, but, they're really good for a bad team, This was another game. You're right there. Had a chance to win. And, JT, I respect the hell out of you. And you do pre and post game. You're on the flagship of the Raiders. So I'm not going to put you in the bad spot. I know you can't say this.
You don't know what I can and can't say. Let me stop you. So please, you don't know what I can and can't say. I take the high road because I'm on the flagship station, and I will always do that. And I work with the coach. So you don't know what I would say, but please continue.
Right, of course, no disrespect, but I'm going to use an F word, not the 4-letter one, but it kind of looked like the fix was in there, and like you said, the ref threw the flag, could have killed somebody. All-star, he blew his whistle. We all saw it, and what happened. But just for a second, let's say she was on the other foot. It's the Chiefs going down to try to win the game, and that same thing happens to the Chiefs. You can't tell me, JT, that those refs are going to say, yep, Raiders recovered the ball. Game's over. Yeah. Raiders win.
Good point. I would agree with you, Tyler, that if it went the other way and the Raiders fell on the fumble, the Chiefs probably would have got a false start and another shot at it. That's what you're getting at, right? I agree with you on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, hey, man, really appreciate you.
Yeah, look, I'm not a big conspiracy theory guy, and the refs make a lot of mistakes. Coaches make mistakes. Quarterbacks make mistakes. A lot of people make mistakes. But when you're a professional football team, you can't make mistakes. You have to put yourself in the best position to win. I thought the Raiders were in a not ideal situation, but a very good situation to go win the game. And I was hoping that they do that, because if they were able to pull it off, I think the Raiders would have had the one win on the schedule all year, beating Baltimore and Kansas City. Wait till you hear Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon came on with us, and Bobby, we're going to want to cut up a couple of the sound bites instead of play it, because he made a couple of points on winning, what was on the line, and how it would have led to the Raiders' momentum into the offseason workouts and program. So Rich Gannon wants to win every game. He doesn't want to lose like the next 4. Rich thinks by winning a game or two, it will bring the team momentum into their offseason conditioning and workout programs. Why would I argue with Rich? Rich knows a lot more than I do. He's a former MVP in this league. But now I can't stop talking about everybody wanting to talk about the draft. I get that Our Lads guide that I get every year for the draft. And my buddy Dan Shunka sends it to me. We have a good half-hour phone call. He tells me the do's and don'ts of the draft. I've been doing this a long time. Been very lucky to anchor a lot of Raider drafts. This one upcoming will be one of the most important ever in 65 years. You know why? I want to say this on the record. Max Crosby. Because Max Crosby is the pillar of this franchise. Max Crosby is the pillar of this franchise. And the Raiders have to draft well and hire free agents and make decisions so Max Crosby has an opportunity to win quickly here and start going to the playoffs every year the way the Denver Broncos look like they're trying to do. The Chargers seem like they're doing. The Raiders got to get back in the saddle very quickly for Max. Of course, everybody else. Of course. Most importantly, the owner and Mrs. Davis and Mark, they want to win. But for Max Crosby, it's go time. You can't play at this level this good and be on a 2-win team. Can't happen. 3-win team, can't happen. And I think Max loves it here. I know he does. He loves being a Raider. And I hope everybody understands that. He's a hell of a guy. And he played another great game. Just came up on the short end. We are brought to you by Remy Martin, Team Up for Excellence. Remy's got all of these activations throughout town. So wherever you are, ask for a Remy Martin cocktail. The Cointreau inside your margarita makes it that much special. 300 years old, as we're talking now about Remy, the Cointreau, what they do. It's fantastic. They're one of my longest-term partners on this show, Remy Martin, Team Up for Excellence, as we're here on a Monday, December 2nd. Ooh, we're in December. There's a couple of sites that make fun of like weather people and news people when they say, can you believe we're in December? Yeah, I can believe it. My phone says December 2nd.
I would do it.
We're coming off Thanksgiving, which was fabulous. Black Friday, which was entertaining, but we didn't get the outcome. And now we count down to the holiday season as the Raiders are heading to Tampa Bay to take on Baker Mayfield.
It's the morning tailgate.
Oh, I want to do an NFL segment here, so my son can cut up some clips. So I'm going to do that. Maybe
was
for
taken
one
in
more.
2007. Yes. I would much rather my team swing for the fences for the franchise quarterback, a la
Bobby's
Jamarcus Russell
screening
in
calls.
2007, than just hope for second and third round guys.
The morning tailgate, weekdays at 7 a.m. on Raider Nation Radio,
side judge on
920
that
a.m.
game, the side
Boyd
judge.
Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino
I saw him
partner
throw
of
the
the Las
flag and
Vegas
run
Raiders at
doing
Allegiant Stadium.
Throw
Bring
the
your
flag
friends,
and go like
have some
this.
fun, but
Sprint.
always bet
What is
on
that?
black. Visit their
False
10
start.
casinos
He
across
was
the valley.
overruled.
Don't let the game get out of
He was
hand.
overruled.
Please bet responsibly.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way. Because you deserve a team that
Nina
delivers
Kimes
real
on
support
TV.
and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. So if
the other
you've been
topic
hurt
I
in a
wanted to
crash,
get into.
call Sam
So
and
I
Ash,
watched the documentary. Bobby came up with a yacht rock.
702-303-0333. Sam and
Michael
Ash,
McDonald,
because you
it
deserve
was
what's right.
fabulous. Bill Simmons,
This is
your guy
JT from
Boston.
Las Vegas's
It's his-
premier
it's his,
cigar lounge, La
documentary
Casa
company.
Cigars and Lounge
It was
at Tivoli
fantastic,
Village.
only
You're going
because
to
of the
be blown
history
away
of
like
yacht
I
rock.
was when I stepped into their
Steely
walk-in
Dan
humidor. Over
the
500
Doobie
cigar
Brothers.
labels to choose from. Plus, they
Christopher
feature
Cross,
one of the largest whiskey,
Toto.
Scotch, and bourbon
Holy
selections
crap.
anywhere
I had
in the
no
valley
idea
with
that
live
Toto
local
played on
entertainment
over
7 nights a week.
3,000,
Great
not
place to watch
300,
football
Bobby.
games. Check it out
3,000
at
songs. They're bands.
LaCasaCigars.com.
They're session musicians.
All your Raiders coverage is right here on Raider Nation Radio, 920 a.m.
This is JT for Grimaldi's New York style coal-fired brick oven pizza. 4 locations in the valley: Summerlin and Boca Park, on the Strip at the Palazzo, Southwest Las Vegas on Rainbow, and Green Valley on Eastern Avenue. Grimaldi's, the best pizza I've ever had.
I'm Justin Watkins with Battleborn Injury Lawyers, and I have to laugh when I hear all the attorneys out there falling all over themselves to tell you who's bigger, who's better, or who's richer. It's funny because the American Bar Association found the most common complaints of lawyers is neglect and lack of communication. It's about customer service. At Battleborn, we pride ourselves on how we treat our clients, and our clients seem to really appreciate it. Check out our Google reviews or call 766-1400 for a free consultation. At Battleborn, your battle is our fight.
What is GMTVCC? It's a mouthful, but translation for GMTVCC.com is Give Me the VIN Classic and Collector Cars. It's a brand new buying division of Give Me the VIN, but it's for classic and collector cars. Experience pro buyers will appraise and offer on your 1970 Hemi Cuda or 1988 Fox Body Mustang or your granddad's old 1985 square body Chevy. CC.com is where you go to get real money for classic and collector cars to get paid now. That's GMTVCC.com, brought to you by Give Me the VIN.
I was a 10-year-old boy holding the flashlight for my dad while he worked on the air conditioner for a customer. His name was Duncan Goodrich. He didn't talk much, but there's a certain kind of magic that happens when a son holds a flashlight for his father. Dad talked to me while he worked. That was the first night I held the flashlight.
Christopher Cross does something that'll never be done
I realized that every time he handed me that flashlight,
he
was
sweeps
passing
the
torch.
Grammys.
For all your HVAC and
Sweeps it.
plumbing needs, visit us at
then
Gettle.com.
he gets
GMETTL. We'll keep it
breakout
cool and
artists.
charged up.
So not only did he sweep the Grammys, that one album.
Where can you
which is
find
unbelievable.
jewelry,
And I'm
art,
really
vintage
interested in
clothing,
that because
vintage kitchenware, gifts, and antiques?
what was
They're
fabulous
all
about
available
that,
at the Las
if you ever
Vegas
accomplished
Antique
anything
Alley
great in
Mall.
life,
The Antique Alley Mall is the finest
Whatever your
collectible
greatest
store in town.
accomplishment
We have
was.
over 50 vendors and
Imagine not
12,000
being
square
able to
feet.
do
So
that.
decide come find that
What
unique
Christopher
holiday
Cross did
gift
with that
this
album
season
went
at
over
the
Grammy.
Antique Alley Mall.
Like I said in the
South Main Street in
documentary, the only
Las
thing that
Vegas
could
Art
bring you
District.
down
Rated
is
sound
gravity.
order
He went so high up
the
that he would never top it.
Alley
So everybody judged him.
Attention plumbers, HVAC, DIYers, and construction pros. McFadden Industrial Hardware has everything you need for your next project. Open early at South Decatur and Russell. McFadden Industrial Hardware, your one-stop shop to get the job done. McFadden Industrial Hardware. Get in, get out, and get to work.
Bill Simmons
Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Local 872, your workforce solution.
All right in the middle of the field. Rebels right back to the line with 2 receivers to each side.
Hodge fakes the handoff, throws it over the middle. It's complete to White at the 5. He finds the end zone for the touchdown. A post route to Ricky. And Haj Malik Williams on his second touchdown pass of the day. His 17th of the year gives Ricky White 11 on the season. He's over 1,000 yards on the season as well. And the Rebels extend the lead to 37-7 pending the extra point.
Rebels Radio, JT, back with you as we continue on. Hope everyone's doing well. Had a good Thanksgiving. Coming up, I'm going to tell you next segment about Yacht Rock. Saw an unbelievable documentary. Unbelievable documentary you have to see. I'll tell you about that a little bit. I have a clock in my head. Remember, I stick to sports. I don't go rogue and talk for 20 minutes and waste your time. We stick to sports because I'm a sports talk host. And a couple of other games that I want to mention here because my son wanted to get some reels here. That's what the kids do nowadays. He wants me to get my opinion on some other teams. As I said with the Jets are now ruined. The Jets are ruined. Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams have to find their way to another team. Davante will have the ability. That was a short-term move. Davante will be able to go wherever he wants to go. Aaron Rodgers should go back to the Jets, get on his knees, and say to Woody Johnson, the owner, I will play for less money because of this train wreck dumpster fire that I was the orchestra leader of. I will stay here for you for another year because I don't think Aaron Rodgers is done. I don't. I think Aaron Rodgers still has the ability to play quarterback in this league at a high level. He's got to decide if he's going to do it with the Jets, which would be the right thing to do. The right thing to do would be humble, to go to the owner and say, I'm not going to hold you hostage for $50 million, $60 million. I'm going to give you a discount and come back because I owe you. Let's see if he's cool enough to do that. The two biggest moves of the offseason, without a doubt, were Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh and Sam Darnold to Minnesota. Proving once again that Sam Darnold was always a good quarterback. He just played on some bad teams that didn't utilize him right, and he couldn't get off the bench in San Francisco, but he learned a lot from Kyle Shanahan. He learned a lot. He was in every meeting with Kyle Shanahan. That paid off now. And now with O'Connell in Minnesota, he's got another great coach, and Sam Darnold is absolutely dialed in, skull for the Vikings. And the Vikings are going to have to make a big decision because they love J.J. McCarthy. They love him. And he came from Michigan, and they might not want to give Sam Darnold $45, $50 million, which is the going rate if Kirk Cousins is making that money. If you're paying Kirk Cousins, who threw 4 interceptions at the back end of his career, you better pay Sam Darnold around the same. So Minnesota would love to say to Sam Darnold, beat Detroit, take us deep into the playoffs, and we'll reward you. But maybe they just want to go with J.J. McCarthy and let Sam Darnold go. Who are the teams that would want to get him? But for Russell Wilson, every team that did not make a move to get him for $1 million lost. That's not controversial.
No.
I don't care if I'm saying that in Las Vegas or any other market. Russell Wilson was available for free. Right there for everybody to have, and everybody talked their way out of it. He's a hell of a player. I said that long before that. And Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is the most important player on a great team this year. You might think it's Patrick Mahomes. You could actually go down the list and say it's Jared Goff. No, it's Saquon Barkley. Have a closer. Jalen Hurts was the closer the last couple of years. End of the game, they do. Run with him. Run with him. The push, the tush push, all that. No, now they have Saquon. So they don't have to put Jalen Hurts in harm's way where he's got to run the football and run and stay in bounds and take a big hit from a safety or a linebacker. They got Saquon Barkley to do that, and he's making a run at the MVP. What a year for Saquon Barkley. The Latino voice of the silver and black and USC football, our good friend Harry Ruiz, joins us courtesy of the Black Hole. Harry, tough loss for the Raiders. How'd you see it in real time? I know you had the game Saturday, but Friday was a standalone Black Friday day. Tough game for the Raiders to lose, especially the way they did.
JT, thanks for having me on. I mean, it was a tough game, but we saw the best offensive output we've seen from the Raiders so far this season, both with total yardage, with yardage through the air with Aiden O'Connell, and even the running game. It was the third time, if I recall correctly, that they've ran over 100 yards this season. But unfortunately, this game, you don't win it with yards. You win it with points. And the team wasn't able to get enough points to get the victory. But I think we saw the team make a step forward when it comes to offense. The defense, for the first time ever, limited a Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs to 1 touchdown on offense. But it wasn't enough, JT.
Yeah, it wasn't. Harry, the down and distance at the end of the game, I thought they just should have spiked the ball with 3 or 4 seconds to go. Let Daniel Carlson make the kick, make or miss, miss or make. It would have happened that way. That brought the fumble into play. How'd you see that as a play-by-play voice on how they handled the final 15?
Yeah, that was definitely difficult. They got into the opponent territory. They got into field goal range, even though DC had missed 3 field goals already that were 50-plus yards. I think in that situation, with not having any timeouts, you just go to the line of scrimmage. If you spike it, you have to be thinking about executing another play, which would have been tough. You're going to go to the sideline. You're going to try to get out of bounds if that's the situation, knowing that Carlson had missed 3 field goals already. But I'll be completely transparent with you, JT. I was translating Antonio Pierce's press conference live on the air on Friday afternoon. And when he said what he said, I was in shock. I was like, you don't do that then. You let the clock run all the way down to 3 seconds and kick the field goal from there. There's no need to spike the ball if that's what you were trying to do, in my personal opinion. Obviously, we know football from watching the game, for working in the game. They know way more than us in the building, but I just think it was a decision that should have been, and you got a lot of people in there that could have helped, but we all know it's just, you got seconds to make that decision.
Yeah.
It's easy for us right now to say it when they were doing it right there and then and there.
Yeah, Harry Ruiz is our guest. I think that's a fair thing to say. It was a tough decision, real time, no timeouts. In hindsight, it doesn't sound like he would change his opinion. I respect him. He believes in what he's doing here, but it's something we have to talk about here on the radio. Brock Bowers, for you, I'm going to ask you this question I've been dying to ask. As a play-by-play guy, you're very good. When you have the binoculars and you're looking down and Brock breaks the huddle. So they're at midfield. Brock breaks the huddle. He's lining up on the right. Jacoby Myers is far right. You got Trey Tucker closer to you at Allegiant Stadium on the left side. What have you seen with Brock Bowers as your play develops and your play call develops?
I'm seeing a guy that we already knew that he was dangerous from what we've seen from college, and we knew that it was going to take him a couple of games to adapt to the NFL speed, the strength of his opponents. Yes, he played in the SEC, but at the same time, it's different playing against collegiate athletes than playing to NFL athletes. And this guy, he's been a stud from week 3 going on for the Silver and Black. And man, we know that at least a third, if not 50% of the targets from the quarterbacks now have to go to him, because even if he's double covered, even if they're bracketing him, he's going to find a way to make plays, and that's going to open spaces for his teammates. That's what happened in the first half, JT. Jacoby Myers, they were focusing too much on Brock, so Jacoby Myers had a lot of space. Go with him. So that's Brock Bowers right now. He's going to be special for the Silver and Black for years to come, and I would be absolutely shocked if he's not first or second team All-Pro as a rookie.
Yeah, I have Bobby looking for a Sincere McCormick touchdown that I did in the preseason along with you. I like Sincere McCormick. Man, he's running hard. He's authoritarian. He sees the hole. He runs through it. He's got fresh legs. I want to see more of him.
The sincere one, man. I mean, I'm really enjoying what he's doing. And look, this was a guy that arrived to the team a couple of years ago. His rookie season, he was in the IR the whole year. Last year, he was in the practice squad the whole season. So this is a fella that, what does he have to lose, man? He just goes out there and plays balls out because this is his opportunity, and he's taking advantage of it 100%. So I'm not going to be shocked if we see him once again on the field on Sunday, and he's going to get even more touches, which is what has been happening the last 2 weeks. Yes, we would love to have Alexander Madison and Zamir White back, but you know what? Right now, it's time to see the young guys and see what kind of potential they have for the future with the Silver and Black, and Sincere is one of them.
Harry Ruiz, as we wrap it up, the Latino voice of the Silver and Black. So one of the things I tweeted out during the game is I said to myself, how good would the Raiders be with Marcus Epps completely healthy, Christian Wilkins, Malcolm Kuntz, Jacorian playing in that game, and Nate Hobbs? Those are 5 of 11 players who didn't play in that game, who were all big-time players in their own right. Jacorian was really coming on strong. Can you believe they stayed in that game defensively and played that well without those 5 players?
I 100% believe it, JT, because that's what the strength of this team has been all season long, their defense. And if you see the scores, and there's a lot of close games, and if not close game at the end, you would see them close for 3 quarters. It's thanks to this defense, and it's incredible that they're doing it without all those absences. You just had Sam from the 33rd team. One of his colleagues, Ari Mayrob from the 33rd team, posted not long ago about the San Francisco 49ers absences due to injuries. I'm like, heck, look at the Raiders, man. On both sides of the ball, we're the same situation, if not worse than the Niners when it comes to injuries this season. So that's something you got to give this team props for, because they've been competitive in most of their games. They've been close, but no cigar.
Last one, we got Baker Mayfield coming up, and I think Baker Mayfield could have been a quarterback for the Raiders too. I thought he would have been the perfect Raiders. I said that on this platform and others. At the time, they were going in a different direction. We came off a former regime, Jimmy Garoppolo. You look at the decisions that they made along the way. They could have took a deeper dive possibly at Baker. They passed. We remember what happened at the Rams game. I think you got to play Baker differently. Max is going to have a big day, but Baker's able to run for first downs. He's very aggressive running, and he takes deep shots when he's under duress and running. So it's a good game for the ball hawks in the secondary and for Max Crosby to keep the Raiders in the game and maybe do the same thing, have a chance to win it on the road at Raymond James Stadium.
This is a team with a lot of weapons, JT. We know that Jacorian Bennett is going to be out for at least 4 games, but we think it seems like it's for a little bit more. You would love to have Nate Hobbs back, because that's going to be somewhere where you need all hands on deck for Baker Mayfield and company, and it's going to be a good game. Baker Mayfield ain't at 100% either, so that's something that we got to keep in mind, where he's a baller. He's going to go out there and he's going to perform no matter what, and just be careful with the ground game, because he can do damage through the air, through the ground. It's going to be a good game. That's for sure.
And last one, right in your wheelhouse, USC quarterback Miller Moss to transfer. He's looking to move on there. And tell me about the quarterback now for SC with the UNLV roots, and UNLV's playing, and they're going to the Mountain West Championship here. Give us a little college football as the voice of the SC Trojans on the way out.
Yeah, I'm actually walking around Town Square right now with my dog. Sorry for the airplanes walking right above me wearing my Trojans jersey. And, yeah, Miller Moss, he decided to transfer. He was the backup for Caleb Williams for 2 years at SC. He's going to be a redshirt senior next year. There's a lot of programs that'll line up, but the problem with the USC was that when you look at his losses, he would always throw interceptions with the team up by 1 possession in the 4th quarter in enemy territory. Those turnovers just cost the team too much. It cost them the opportunity to go up by 2 possessions, and then they ended up dropping games in Minnesota, in Maryland, in Michigan. And when they decided to go with Jaden Mayava, the former UNLV quarterback, then it was pretty obvious that he was going to transfer. He made it official today. And Mayava, it's been a roller coaster, man. I mean, it's been entertaining, that's for sure. And now USC, there's a possibility they come here to the Las Vegas Bowl. There's a possibility they go to the Sun Bowl in El Paso. It's a win-win for me, either at my current home or my former home. So let's have fun with the Trojans too.
Yeah, I don't need you at the Sun Bowl. I'd rather have you at Allegiant going out for a nice dinner on the casino corridor after that. But you'll do a great job wherever they end up, my friend. I look forward to seeing you soon. You have a great Thanksgiving?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it was a great weekend. Thursday, we had dinner with my friend Jim Lambert and his family. Then Friday, Raiders traveled to LA, and Saturday did the SC game over at the Coliseum, and then back home before 11 p.m. So it's a blessed life, JT.
Continued success, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one. Bobby, you're the man.
Yep, there he is, Harry Ruiz, great friend of ours. Deshaun Reed reporting 4 minutes ago, according to the NFL, Raiders rookie Brock Bowers is second behind George Kittle in Pro Bowl voting at tight end. Max Crosby is 6th among defensive ends. Robert Spillane is 5th among linebackers, and Daniel Carlson is 10th when it comes to kickers. How the hell is Max 6th?
Yeah.
Do they take into consideration he plays every play? I mean, does that matter? You know, Matt doesn't come off the field and take a breath. Wow. Surprised by that. I know Max doesn't care. Max is great, and Max's legacy speaks for itself. Rod in Vegas on 920. Hello, Rod.
Hey, good afternoon.
What's happening?
First time, long time.
Thank you.
I agree with your take on Crosby. He's the best, honestly. He never gives up. He plays every play. He plays a run better than any other defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yep.
I'm a ticket holder.
Okay.
Here in Vegas. I'm a Broncos fan, but I just want to say that don't forget that, you know, that game on Friday with Kansas City, the Raiders in Kansas City, that was on the refs. That wasn't on the play calling at the end. I don't understand how you can call a legal shift when nobody moves besides the snap. Okay. I just want to say that from what we heard a little earlier. But my main thing is what happened with the draft for the Raiders was something that nobody anticipated. And I really believe they were going to get Michael Penix. And the Falcons screwed that up. Nobody saw that coming. And, you know, they wound up with a great player, but that's not what they had in mind.
No, and again, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much for being a first timer. Greatly appreciate you. I don't know exactly, and I'm not going to dive too deep into it. Tom Telesco's not going to give his tendencies out to the draft with another big one coming here. But look, the Raiders wanted Jaden Daniels. That's what I know to be true. And there was no way to get Jaden Daniels. He wasn't available in the trade. I think the Raiders would have traded big to get Jaden Daniels. That's just my opinion. I don't know for sure. The greatest thing to happen to the Raiders was getting Brock Bowers. Now, we're not going to get another. I don't think you should take. Look, if there's Travis Hunter, that's different. Travis Hunter is different. If you got a kid who wants to play corner and wide receiver and he can do it, and he's special, I want a quarterback just like everybody else. The only difference with me is I'm hosting the show, and I'm not doing the topic for a couple of be careful here, Bobby. I mean, I might need this topic in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but I'm going to avoid talking about the draft because two things. I want to make sure I do my homework on the draft picks, and then I want to make sure the content is at the right time. Because once you open the barn door to do the NFL draft, it's over. It'll last me 3 or 4 days. It'll last me a month in April or, March, April. I can get a month out of it. I can't get more than 2 days out of it here because no one knows what's going to happen. And that's bad radio. And we strive not to give you bad radio. It's easy to do bad radio.
I try.
Coming up next, I'm going to tell you about Yacht Rock. Oh, I love Yacht Rock because I lived it as a kid, and now it's back. The documentary was great. Bobby's going to have to find a Yacht Rock song.
I got one.
Well, you got one. Good. That'll be interesting. Tell you about that. And then we'll wrap it up. And then Monday nights, I head down to the Great Wynn Resort to do my show 4 to 7. It's directly across from La Cave, one of the best restaurants in Vegas, the gem of Michael and Jenna Morton and the great J.O.D. and Billy the chef, who went to my high school. One of the best restaurants in Vegas is La Cave, and it's right there at Wynn. And you can look directly into the studio where I'm at, and you can look directly into La Cave, so you know where that is. Next to the buffet, too, Bobby. They have I go by that buffet at Wynn. It feels like there's 1,000 people trying to get in. That must be pretty good. Hook a brother up. All right, we'll wrap it up on the other side. And then we're going to do more of this game tomorrow. This is a 2-day topic on the flagship of the Silver and Black. Whoa. All right, everybody. Thank you. A long run, an hour and 48 minutes. 1 hour and 48 minutes. No co-host.
He's coming along and making
no little buddy.
The next phase.
No one to tell me what to say. Just me. Have a great day. Appreciate y'all.
Who's coming in and punching the ball out. We see it each and